Oké. Even kijken. Dat ik niet te groot. Cool. So we should be able to be live on Facebook as well. How is this going? I think it's going well. Anyway, I just have to quick check something. Yeah, we're live there, so that's going awesome. Close that tab, close. Here we go. Okay, so I am just going to wait a few more minutes to see if any more people are showing to join Masterclass. In the meantime, if you're already here, please let me know. First of all, I'm so happy that you are here, and I'm really excited for this masterclass. It's going to be freaking epic. So I'm just really excited that you are here, and I'm curious as well. So please let me know your name and where you're watching from. Hey, Stephanie from Amsterdam. Great to see that you are here. So nice to have you here. Nice. No full screen. Like this. Well, let's just start and see if any other people care to join. So today, in the masterclass, we are going to deep dive into the chart, in the human design chart of Abundance King Napoleon Hill. And I am going to show you how and why he not only became such a successful projector, but how his wisdom is still relevant today, almost 100 years later. We will dive into how you can leverage your design to establish your unique pathway to abundance. And I can imagine that you get all sorts of questions during the class, but I kindly like you to ask to save them for the end of the masterclass, where there will be the space to answer them. And before we're going to deep dive into the masterclass, I would like to share a little bit about myself. And I'm going to share my screen with you So it might be that you are not able to see me anymore. I'll just come back later, and let's just have some fun for the next like 60 to 90 minutes. So here we go. Here we go. Let's check this. This will do. Why can't I see me? Yes, sorry. So let's start this thing. Welcome. Well, we've already been through this, but as an extra curiosity, if you already know what's your type, profile, and authority, let's get curious here. We have a 5-1 mental projector here. Awesome. I am a 2-4 emotional projector. So projectors all over here. So this is just gonna be fun. Gonna be a projector gig. So my name is Hanneke. That is a Dutch name. So if you think like, what? I spelled it out phonetically here, so that's Hanneke. For all the non-Dutch speaking people here among us, who am I? I really am a personal development junkie. I absolutely love peeling away all those layers that aren't me and getting to know myself on a much deeper and profound level to get to the authentic me. And I am a raving fan of human design. As I said before, I am a 2-4 emotional projector. I am the mom of my son. His name's Lucas. I am the dog mom of a French bulldog, and I am engaged to be married. And in my work, I work as a human design and energetic alignment coach. So I help people alchemize their shadow to an abundant life beyond their wildest dreams. So what does that mean? I help adults regulate their nervous system, do deep shadow work, and soften trauma triggers so they become more present, more rooted, more stable, more graceful, kinder adults to not only everyone around them, but also to themselves, and most important, to the tiny humans in their lives. That's the ultimate goal of what I do. And I use a lot of combinations, a lot of tools to facilitate that transmutation. I use human design as the energetic roadmap to coming home to your true self. Like I said before, peeling away all those layers that aren't you and discovering your shadows and traumas so that you can be who you came here to be, who you were born to be. I help you identify triggers that cause your body to be in a constant survival mode. So where fight, flight, freeze, or fawn are constantly triggered, or you're in complete nervous system collapse. That's survival mode, and that's not helpful. And when we know the source of the triggers, when we know the source of the pain, we can use specific tools that work best for your unique design and for your unique energy. So it's actually released from your body, from your mind, and from your spirit, and it's not just a band-aid. And to facilitate that, some tools in my toolbox are shadow work, our inner child healing, our systemic work, is body-based trauma work, NLP, release sessions, breath work, EFT, and a whole bunch more. So by doing the inner work, the universe rewards you with magic, love, joy, and of course, abundance. So in one sentence, I'm a deconditioning coach. I fully had the intention to start this masterclass with some human design 101 basics. But as I was writing this masterclass, I decided I was going to ditch it for the simple fact that the masterclass would get way too long. And I just didn't want to take too much of that time from you. So if you're not familiar with human design yet, that doesn't really matter. I'll explain a lot of the things along the way as we move through Napoleon's chart. And if you still have questions, of course, you can ask them later. And but if you'd like to cover the basics for yourselves, in the email you will receive after the masterclass, there will be a link where you can sign up to my free introduction course in human design that covers all of those basics that I was otherwise going to cover here. So no worries, I got you covered. And of course, after this masterclass, you will also get a replay of the class, so you can always come back to it and deepen your insights. So let's move along and dive deep. Here we have Mr. Hill's chart. And as I said before, we're going to dive into the specifics of his chart to find out how and why he became such a successful projector. First, I am going to deconstruct and deduce, and then I'm going to connect all the dots. So let me ask you something first. Have you read Think and Grow Rich? Yes. Awesome. Well, I have read it too. And a few weeks ago, I was reading the book again to specifically read the material again, but through the lens of human design, like, you know, like how can you mix the two? And at one point, I think I was 2 chapters in, and I got this thought that said, by the language that he's using, I think he is a projector, because projectors are here to guide, and he was writing the book in such a way that he tells you where to look, but he doesn't tell you what to see. You have to do that yourself. You have to get that information yourself. And based on that, I thought, that's interesting. I think he must be a projector. So I ran his data, what I could find through a genetic matrix. That's the software I use. And bam, there was his chart. And I looked at his chart and I was like, oh, that is so cool. And I started to see all those little clues of why he became such a successful projector. It is our signature. And I thought, wow, let's have some fun and create a masterclass. So here we are. Let's start with something with a little specifics. Who was he? He was a 1-3 splenic projector with the right angle cross of the unexpected. Let's break that up. He was a projector, and only 20% of the people in the world are projectors. And like I said before, projectors are here to guide. They are here to master systems and deeply know the other person. Projectors have the bird's eye view and can think 10 steps ahead. Their aura, so the energetic field that is around them, everyone has an aura, but depending on your type, your aura will feel different. And it's the energetic field around you that speaks for you before you even open your mouth. And the aura of the projector is deeply penetrating to see into the other person. Projectors can see what's behind the masks of, behind the mask people choose to wear. So therefore, for other people, the energy of a projector can feel really intense. Their strategy is to wait for the invitation. Well, that's true to a point, but what's much more important, in my opinion, is to wait for recognition. Because as a projector, you can be invited, But if you're not recognized for your wisdom, for your insights, for your guidance, then that invitation has no value. And you will, if you accept that invitation, you will go to your non-self anyhow. So recognition is a really, really important part of the strategy. But when you are recognized and then the invitation comes, when you then are invited to share that perspective, that's great. And one other tip, don't go fishing for invitations, because that shit doesn't work. Our signature is success. It is the emotion that we feel when we, I say we because we're all projectors here, when we are in alignment. We're here to be successful. But what success means, that is up to us. So what success looks like for me can be something different than what success looks like for Stephanie, of what success looked like for Napoleon. Our non-self is bitterness. So when you see a bitter projector walking around, you'll know directly that they're in their non-self. When they give their advice unsolicited, ignore their energy or strategy and authority, they will feel bitterness. Now, bitterness can show up in a lot of different ways, and how it can show up for you might be different than how it shows up for me. For me, bitterness shows up as pure resentment, that feeling like, well, go fuck yourself then. That is what I feel when I am in bitterness. And his authority is a splenic one. And the splenic one can be a little hard to master, because her voice isn't loud and it never ever repeats itself. It can make itself known as a voice, as a feeling, or as a bodily reaction. And people with this authority need to be very healthy and in tune with their bodies, because you really need to learn the voice of your true intuition instead of ego in disguise, because there is a big difference. Because in order for the splenic authority to work well, you need to cultivate a deep relationship with your intuition and trusting her above all else. But so many times the ego fucks that up, so to say, masking its voice as if it were your intuition. So it's really important, if you have a splenic authority, that you learn the difference between the two. And his profile is a 1-3, meaning an investigator martyr. The investigator is motivated by discovery. They love to go deep, research, and ask all sorts of questions. Well, I think for Napoleon Hill, that was pretty obvious. And because they do that, they lay the foundations for security and safety for all of us. The martyr is the experimenter. They are full of resilience, bravery, and try this, try that. They have that mentality. They love to see and explore, and they are super curious about what's going on, especially about behind closed doors. They just want to see what's going on, and they want to experience it themselves, and they pull their lessons from their experiences. So they are the full embodiment that there are no mistakes in life, just lessons. And for his profile, Napoleon's profile, the one is really obvious. It's also his conscious line. So not only is that apparent to him, but it's most apparent for others as well. I'm skipping over the incarnation cross at this point because it will come back later in the class. So I'm going to grab his chart again. Now I am curious, when you look at his chart, is there something that you notice in particular? Yeah, his openness. Yeah. that's true as well. He has no motor. What I noticed first, awesome, Stephanie says in the chat, that's why I think he's interesting. What I noticed first was that his G center, his identity center, and his ego center are completely open. So there's a difference between being open and being undefined. Here he has an undefined solar plexus, the emotional center, but he does have an active hanging gate here. But here in the ego center and in the identity center, there are no active hanging gates. So that's what I thought was really interesting. But as you can see as well, his head, the ajna, the throat, and the spleen are defined. Because there's a hierarchy in the centers. So because he has his spleen defined, in this case, that makes him a splenic projector. As I said before, his ego center and the identity center are completely open, meaning that he has no hanging gates there. These the centers where you are open, where you're open and where you're undefined, is where you cultivate wisdom. And those are the ideal guides, centers to guide other people from, because you can see the energies of those centers from all perspectives. So that's a really interesting thing. When Napoleon's identity and ego center are undefined, the identity center is all about direction. Where do you want to go? Who are you? And the ego center has everything to do with willpower and with self-worth. So if you look at his books through that lens, I think that for him, of course, unconsciously, because in the time when he was alive, human design wasn't there yet. The combination didn't exist yet, but unconsciously, I believe he guided people about identity and about self-worth, and even a lot of willpower in Think and Grow Rich. So that's really interesting also for yourself to look at if you're an entrepreneur. What are my open centers and what are the energetics of the open centers, and what is my wisdom there? So how can I guide my people, your ideal clients or the people on your fractal line? How can you guide them best? But that is just a side note. Let's see, where was I? Yeah, got that. As you can see as well, he has the most gates defined in his throat center, meaning that this center is his superpower. This is the place where he generates the most energy. And what's really interesting as well is that 4 out of the 5 gates are conscious and unconscious. There's only one unconscious gate, which is here, gate 35. And so that's a really powerful mix of energies, because it's not only apparent to himself, he is aware that he has those energies, but other people are aware that he has those energies as well. So not only is his, when they're both defined, personality and design, they mix like this and create a really, really strong energetic bond. So that's really interesting. And so you can see that in his throat, that's where he generates the most energy. And he generates the energies through gates 23, 35, 31, 20, and 16, plus the 5720 channel, which is called the brainwave channel. But let's start from top to bottom. He has his head defined, and the head center is all about inspiration, imagination, about questions, and in the lower frequencies about confusion and doubt. Only 30% of the people have the head defined, meaning that they have a consistent internal source of inspiration. And besides that, the head is a pressure center. There are two pressure centers in the body. The head, that one creates mental pressure. And here at the bottom, we have the root, which creates bodily pressure because it's also linked to the adrenal systems. Also, again, a side note. The head is a pressure center, creating pressure to make sense about the world and all its information. And in his case, it gets pushed down to the ajna to process all of that. And since it took him, looking at the characteristics of that, I'd say that Napoleon had a healthy defined head center, meaning they can determine when, with whom, and what ideas are worth sharing, and you're comfortable waiting for clarity to come in. Since it took him about 20 years of research, observing people to write his book, I'd say he nailed that. And the way he generates inspiration is through gate 64. And in short, gate 64 is all about the big picture. The inspirations that come into the head are downloaded in very big chunks. You can see it like a waterfall releasing all of that water in one time. And depending on the state that you're in, that can be confusing or it can be illuminating. And the head energies get pushed down to the ajna through the 6447 channel. And the ajna is all about constantly conceptualizing, processing, and interpreting the ideas from the head. The channel, so the 6447 channel, is all about abstraction. He has a very active mind, constantly trying to make sense of life. This channel attempts to gain perspective by making sense out of the experience and search for a story to share with the collective. Now, how relevant is that? Like, for me, that was a like ding, 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 bingo moment. Because that's exactly what he did with when he wrote Think and Grow Rich. When you have this channel, you're always working to bring an abstract, non-linear idea into the form of an actual linear process that others can follow as well. The trick is to be patient enough for the confusion to pass and to keep your mind open to all the possibilities, and you will reward it with an aha of clarity to share the wisdom that you then gained. Well, and Napoleon did this perfectly. After 20 years of observing, researching, and making perfect sense of it all, he shared that story with the collective, and he did it in such a brilliant way that even now, almost 100 years later, that is still relevant. And now we come to another really interesting part in his chart, his split. He has a split definition, and I'd like to explain a little bit about that. When you have a small split, when you have a split in your chart, it means that you have a hiccup in your circuitry. If you would compare it to a road, for all the energies between the defined centers, so the head, the ajna, the throat, and the spleen, for it all to move easily, all the roads should be connected. But in his circuitry, there is a piece of the road missing. And when you have a small split meaning that there's only one gate that you need to bridge the split, that is what you unconsciously will always be looking for in other people, because energy wants to move freely. It doesn't like when all those when there are hiccups in the road. So on an unconscious level, you will always be looking for people who bridge the split, and so the energy can then move freely. And Napoleon was unconsciously always looking for people with a gate 43 to complete his circuitry. So all the inspiration and then processed ideas could be expressed through that big energy in the throat. And the interesting thing is, gate 43 is about breaking through. So another clue again. It's about the ability to formulate new ideas and inspirations that create change. It transforms a deep inner knowing to a new perspective. And he will, there are two ways that you can experience a split. Either way, one way is when you're in contact with other people who have gate 43 or the whole channel defined, or through planetary transits. So that's why it's really interesting to look at the transits, if you have any splits, when they will occur, so that you can anticipate when your bridge is, when your split is bridged. And when that one gets defined for him, so either through someone else or through transits, then he gets the channel of structuring. And this is interesting because this is a projected channel. In the human design circuitry, there are generator channels, there are manifestor channels, and there are projector channels. Meaning that this is a projector channel. So if his design was not a projector, but for example a generator or a manifestor, then for that specific piece of information, for that wisdom that he has there that he then wants to share, he needs an invitation because it's a projected channel. And the channel is about bringing new insights to the world. You speak your mind and have the gift of speaking about things that bring transformation. It's important to structure your insights so that they can be received well and they can be appreciated. Now, again, I think he nailed that right down on the head, because with Think and Grow Rich, and of course that's not the only book that he wrote, but through all of his books, that is exactly what he did. He helped millions of people grow in abundance for themselves by presenting his work in a guided but easily accessible way. And the funny thing is, you know, I'm really curious. So and I love reading charts. So but I haven't been able to figure out who bridged his split for him. I created the chart of Andrew Carnegie, which he mentioned in the book several times, and I ran his wife of the time when he was writing the book. And I looked up the chart of his son, but all of them did not have gate 43. So I don't know how, but his gate was, his split was bridged, meaning that we are now down into the throat, his superpower. And the throat is all about communication, and it's about manifestation, but it's only manifestation when you have the throat directly through a, when it's connected directly through with a motor center, and a motor center being the ego, the solar plexus, the root, or of course the sacral. But if the sacral would be defined, then it would be a manifesting generator. I noticed that he, like I said before, like he has both conscious and unconscious hanging gate, meaning that it's a really powerful energetic mix. And he generates that powerful energy through gate 23, 35, 31, 20, and 16. And gate 23 is all about innovation. He was here to talk about innovative ideas and thoughts. Wait for the right timing, wait for the invitation and recognition, and your words can change the world, or at least the world of another person. Now, seeing that he has sold millions of copies of his book, that's a clue to his own abundance. Gate 35 is all about experience. This is the only pure unconscious gate in his throat center, meaning that others are more aware of this than he is. This comes out of the wisdom and of his body, and it's about the voice of experience. You can guide others through your experiences and guide accordingly. And because he is a projector, he shared his observations plus his own experiences. So that's a really, really great mix. Gate 31 is all about influence. It's about the energy to serve people through leadership, to be in tune with the needs of the tribe that you're leading. Again, like I think that's pretty obvious, right? Gate 20 is about unifying. It's the energy to be aware and take action when the timing is right. A voice that is all about gathering people around an idea and then unify them. That is exactly what he did with Think and Grow Rich. He had this idea that control your mind, you control your outer reality. So that was the big idea, and he unified a lot of people around that idea. So many people that we know and maybe even follow today, like for example Bob Proctor, but also I don't know if you have seen the film or documentary, I'm not really sure what it is, but The Secret. They're all based on Napoleon Hill's teachings, so that's really great. And gate 16 is all about enthusiasm. It gives the energy to dive in, experiment, and figure out details along the way. It's not only about being enthusiastic about the things you do, but also communicate your ideas in an enthusiastic way. So again, like, you know, when I was doing this, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he did that. He did, and he did it well. So all of those energies that I described before, so the head, the ajna, and the throat are now moving along through the 2057 channel. Awesome. Anyway, they are now pushed down to the spleen. And the spleen is all about survival, about fears, about intuition, and about health. It's one of the eldest centers in our body, and therefore it's a really strong one. The energy in his chart moves through the 2057 channel, which is called the brainwave. That channel is about the ability to think on your feet and have a deep inner knowing. When you are aligned, you are connected to survival instincts and speak directly from your intuition. You are one step ahead of others, and you hear the truth of what's being said, which makes you able to detect insecurities and hidden agendas from other people. You can impact others by empowering transformation and initiating change. But the key here is to wait to be invited. And for me, this was another major clue in how and why he became such a successful and abundant projector himself, because he did this in a very, very smart way. What I see a lot is projectors struggling with waiting for the invitation part of their chart. Like we would be majorly passive beings that can't do anything by ourselves and have to be invited for everything. Well, that's just not the case. And he did this in a very, very smart way. He wrote books. He wrote down his wisdom, his experiences in a book. And every time someone bought or lent and read that book, that means that he was invited to see, to share that deep wisdom that he has. So if you are a projector and you're watching this masterclass, get curious about what this means to you. Of course, you can start something when you really want to do it. You don't, when you want to write a book or you want to create a podcast for yourself, you don't have to wait to ask someone like, hey, maybe it would be really cool if you started a podcast. Will you please do that? No, you can do that. You can start that yourself, and your followers, they will be the people who recognize you, and that will be your invitation to share your wisdom. So how can you shift that perspective? Just a little nudge from a guiding projector here. In his spleen, he has gate 44 and gate 28, and out of the channel, he has, of course, gate 57, and that one is all about intuition. And not only intuition, but also the fear of what the future will bring. Now, please take a note, because that is the shadow side of the gate. The fear of what the future will bring. If you're there, if that's the state you're in, then you're in the shadow side of that gate. And when you are there, it can hold you back big time. Seeing what Napoleon accomplished in his life, I don't think that was the case. So I don't think that he was in his shadow gate, in the shadow of that gate. Gate 44 is all about patterns, to spot all sorts of patterns and determine if they're helpful or not. It's also about fear of repeating past patterns that were challenging, and that you will not be able to survive that again, or that you will not be able to survive as a result of lack of money, food, or shelter. Again, he did not have that. So for him, I think he had a really healthy, defined spleen, because he was in, as far as I can observe, he was not in any of the shadow or the non-self parts of the gaze, as well as the center itself. And then we have gate 28, and that is Gene Keys calls it the gate of purposelessness. And it's about that you experience the fear that life has no purpose or meaning unless you take very big risks. And it's about fear of death without discovering what gives life meaning and what makes life worth the struggle. So again, I think he had a really healthy defined spleen, because for as far as I can see, he was not in any of those states. So for me, that's what I personally found really interesting. And that's why for me, my main focus for this masterclass was on the head, the ajna in the throat. And that leaves us with his incarnation cross. And for me, that was another really interesting point to look at. When you look at his gates, both the top four ones, so your conscious, unconscious sun and your unconscious, conscious earth, those gates make up your incarnation cross. And when you look at his gates, both the conscious and the unconscious earth gates are in undefined centers. The gate 41, so his unconscious earth is in the root, and the conscious earth is in the undefined sacral, meaning that there is a potential for energy there. So he only has access to half of his incarnation cross. To be fully aware of his incarnation cross, he needs to have that bridged. So in his case, he would need channel 50 to activate the sacral and therefore access the energy of gate 27. And for the root, he would need gate 38 to activate the root and therefore have access to the gate 41. When he does have full access to it, he has a beautiful incarnation cross. Now, I don't know if you know this, but your incarnation cross isn't something you change about yourself. It's not something you can force or something you can do. It is something that happens automatically when you align with your design. It happens when you follow strategy and authority. And Napoleon Hill had the right angle cross of the unexpected, and a right angle cross is all about you. You're here on the journey of self-discovery, and you explore all the interesting things, or all the things that you think are interesting that life has to offer, and others have no influence whatsoever on your direction or your purpose. And he had, of course, he's not alive anymore. He had the right angle cross of the unexpected. So his life theme was to indulge in the unexpected. You were born in perhaps one of the most remarkable incarnations, in that you bring unexpectedness of radical change to your life and to the lives of everyone around you. You bring awareness and influence even in the face of uncertainty and the unknowable aspects of life, as well as a caring nature that quietly considers how to squeeze the most out of life. If you accept and embrace, thought of it. Anyway, when you accept and embrace everything that life sends your way with an openness and readiness to face any challenges, then you will never be discouraged when you express your unusual dreams, visions, and caring with the world. Trusting your own unique abilities, which do not necessarily follow anyone else's concept of what is supposed to happen in life. Now, this first part of his incarnation cross, for me, this was spot on, but what makes it for me extra interesting, so to say, is like when you do this now in our time, not to diminish this, but a lot of people are already doing this. So not to say that it is less special, but it's much more common. But when he was alive, he was born in 1883. So the first print of Think and Grow Rich was in 1937. That was a completely different time. So if you put this, had the first part of his incarnation cross in the context of the time that he was living in, I think that's a really remarkable thing, because I can imagine that there would be so many people telling him that it was ridiculous or not true, or that he sounded crazy to a lot of people. But yet he persisted and he did it anyway. And the next part of his cross says that life is a mystery that you are here to explore. And whenever people insist that things can happen insist that things can happen only in certain ways, you often prove the opposite by pointing out or demonstrating all kinds of alternatives. For those who find life dull or meaningless, you can be relied on as to have a different attitude. You replace complacency with newfound interesting possibilities. Whether you bring the change or you are the lightning rod who draws change to yourself, your presence can easily influence and reinvigorate everyone who feels stuck in fixed or boring life circumstances. So, what made him successful? What made him abundant? It's actually really easy. Alignment. Without ever having heard of human design, his body, his mind, and his soul were in alignment. He followed his purpose. He did what he came here to do, what he was born to do, while in the meantime creating massive abundance just by being who he was, fully leaning into who he was, and not letting anyone or anything get in the way of that. I think by the way that he was in alignment, he was really in tune with himself, but also with his body. And the beauty is that he believed in abundance for everyone. But there is one thing that Think and Grow Rich and all his other books missed. There is one thing that actually makes the difference. And it is not your thoughts. It is embodiment. Because you can think positive all the livelong day, but if your body doesn't believe it and your body doesn't feel safe, all that positive thinking isn't going to do anything. Unless you heal the hurt, actually work through your shit and restore and expand the holding capacity of your nervous system, or your desires won't manifest. No matter how positive you think. And that is exactly what we're going to do in Master Your Abundance. Master Your Abundance is an 11-week program to guide you to do exactly that, to full body embodiment, full body belief in abundance, to get your body out of survival mode, to regulate the nervous system, and to grow the capacity to hold abundance. Because abundance is just a way of measuring, just like kilograms are. So let's just picture this with me. If you want to have a fit and strong body, to get there, you need to lift weights. But if you have never done that before, and you start by deadlifting 75 kilos with 3 sets of 25 reps, that is not going to work. That is going to hurt the body in a very big way. And it will put a strain on the body because it cannot hold the weight, it will collapse. And the exact same thing goes for abundance. When you want millions, and there's absolutely no shame in that, you need to get to the level with your nervous system where you can hold that. If you have never had that before, and you come from a place of scarcity where you believe in scarcity, you cannot hold that energy yet. And that is exactly what we're going to work on in Master Your Abundance. There are 6 modules where we will deep dive into leveraging the Master Code. Master stands for, is an acronym, it's a download I received a few years ago. And it's about mastery, about taking ownership. It's about attention, about softening the shadow, trust, energetic, and radical magic. And so that is module number 1, teaching you the Master Code and how to apply that into your life. We will stretch your container to receive and hold abundance. We'll dive deep into cultivating a relationship with your intuition, to tune deeply into the body and of course regulate the nervous system, but also to leverage human design in your way to abundance, on your unique pathway to abundance. And those 6 modules are a digital course. So you can do that in your own pace, and you can revisit it every time you want to or need to, because you get lifetime access. During the 11-week program, there will be 8 live coach calls to anchor the embodiment and to fasten your deconditioning, so that you will finally feel safe, so that you will finally feel adequate, validated, and worthy of receiving the abundance that you long for. And you can actually call in and manifest the abundance that you desire. And what will happen is this: you will start to feel safe around abundance, whether it's money, love, travel, even plants. If that's what you want to be more abundant in, that really doesn't matter. You can just finally stop worrying, and you will cultivate a deep sense of trust in yourself and in your design. You will change your perspective. You will start to look through different lenses, which in combination with doing the body work will really change your outer reality. Your nervous system can finally relax. It can finally get out of survival mode, so that the things that you do want can actually come in. You will see opportunities for abundance everywhere, and you will be growing your abundance container in a fun and easy way. And this program is for you when you are done with being in a scarcity mindset, when you are done relying on others to save you, when you are done trying shit that doesn't work, when you want to step up and provide for your family, and most important, when you never, ever want to worry about abundance ever again. And as a bonus, you will get a lot of fun things from me. One of the things is the Shadow Gift and City tool. This one is linked to your human design. For every active gate in your chart, you can write down the shadow state, the gift state, and the city state, the Siddhic state of those gates. So you have one document that you can always get back to when you're feeling low energetic emotions or low energetics. You can just look in the tool like, oh, this is what I'm feeling now. This is, for example, part of gate 24. I have gate 24. The shadow for gate 24 would be stress, but the city would be silence. So to transmute the shadow, you practice the gift or the city, whichever seems easier for you, to lift your body into a higher energetic state. So for me, to transcend the stress, I need to get silent. That is one of the bonuses that you'll get. The other one is my Human Design Introduction course, which is included for free. You get a lifetime access to the digital course material, but also to the community, which is priceless. And I forgot to include this here, but there is another bonus. It's a paid in full bonus. So when you pay in full, you get a human design session with me, where we dive deep into the shadow side of your chart, and where there is a potential for hurt and trauma, and of course also how to step out of those shadow states, to really transcend those states and fasten your deconditioning even more. And the beauty is, oh, I did include this anyway. So you will get access to the human design group calls, which are now included for free, but only when you pay in full you get access to this. And all of this is just now for 888 euros and 88 cents. The next round, the price will evolve to 1,888 and 88 cents. And you might wonder why I chose all the 8s. When you look at numerology, the 8s are actually for abundance. So when you see a lot of 8s, those are your spirit guides telling you that abundance is on the way. So that's why I chose this price with all of the 8s, because that is exactly what it's gonna give you. If this calls to you, if you feel that this is for you, claim your spot now, because there are only 22 spots available in this round, in this container, and the next round the price will go up. So this is your chance to get in for 888 euros and 88 cents. If you feel that this is for you, that you really want to step into this, go to the link, but I will be kind and put this into the chat as well. I will just put the chat in there. Put the link in there in the chat. And now we're at the end of the masterclass. I really had a blast, and I hope that you did too. Please let me know in the chat. And before we sign off, I'd really like to answer some of your questions. So if you do have a question, don't hesitate to ask it. And I'll see if I can answer them. So I am going to stop the share and get back here. And I am going to check Facebook to see if there are any questions. Don't think so. No, there are no questions here in the chat. There are no questions on Facebook, which is totally fine. I'll just take it that I did a really good job and that I explained it really well and you just don't have any questions. Anyway, if you do have any questions afterwards, don't hesitate and send me a message. I really want to thank you again for joining the masterclass, and I really hope to see you in Master Your Abundance. For now, have a really great day and have a really great weekend. Bye.